Hello and welcome back again to this channel. I'm making this video this evening at the back of after watching a good discussion, I would say a good debate on a YouTube channel called Matebeleland Broadcast. If anybody is interested in to hear the conversation about Zimbabwe and the Matebeleland people, the migration of the Matebeleland people, how they got to Zimbabwe, and the current relations between the Matebeleland people and Mashonaland people, I encourage you to go watch it. It's such a good conversation. And I just want to give a little bit of my reaction to it and my own experience being of Zimbabwean origin. I was born and raised in Zimbabwe as a Shona person.
Yamakosi.
I'll send you the pictures.
No, no,
I'll
no,
send you the pictures.
no, no,
I'll send you the pictures if you want evidence.
Okay, but allow me to continue.
Maponga.
No.
I was given a chance to talk. You cannot call it a monologue. I was given an opportunity to talk. So you cannot say it's a monologue. I was given an opportunity to talk.
All right. Let me
Gala, let's make this thing clear. It's a monologue. This gentleman, and he confirms it right now by interjecting and disturbing me when I'm presenting. I allowed him to say whatever I was saying, even if I knew that is a monologue. And it's very clear that this man is used to mistaking his monologue for a debate or for an engagement with others. He's used to just rambling on and on. That's the problem. And the challenge that we seem to have, which is very clear here, is that his arguments, most of them actually lack any intellectual engagement. You can easily see it.
And if you go back on this channel, you're gonna see a couple of videos that I've spoken to what Rutendo has made a video going to Bulawayo and criticizing and talking shit about Bulawayo, and then that rubs me the wrong way. That kind of attitude that Rutendo was showing on in that video about the Matebeleland people and Bulawayo, it's unacceptable. This is the root cause of what we have in Zimbabwe. Rutendo is no stranger to saying things like that just infuriates people. And I just want to digress quickly. Of late, he posted on his Facebook talking about Blessing Hlanga, a journalist who was arrested in Zimbabwe for broadcasting a video which was done by Blessing Geza, aka the war veteran, aka the bombshell, who is leading the uprising, whatever, against the current president. And he went on and said Blessing Hlanga was not smart for fighting a war that he knows that he cannot win. In a sense, this guy was trying to insinuate that Blessing Hlanga was not smart for doing what he did, for practicing his job. That is exactly his job, for doing his journalism, of hearing both sides. This is the same guy who went to DRC to interview the M23, a rebel group which is uprising against the government of Congo. He went to justify their actions, but back home he's speaking a different language. The double standards in that, that he says the M23, they're right, they're Congolese people, that's why they are justified for their actions in the Congo. But back home, same thing is kind of happening. It's kind of similar, that a certain group of people there's no violence whatsoever. It's even way different. But he claimed to say this is now wrong. You know, the double standards in that. And somebody asked him in the comment section that what if you are also supposed to be arrested same as Blessing Hlanga, because you did the exact same thing. So it simply means to me that he only stands for something when it's convenient for him. There is no true Pan-Africanism or pro-African and standing up for what is right. There is no standards to stand for justice inside of him. He can just turn sides. I am pro-African. I'm pro-uniting, coming together as Africans. I wouldn't mind still having conversations with people. Like, I do not judge and condemn people to death. We can still have conversations and find ourselves who can disagree to agree. Now I'm coming back to my topic of today. Okay, if you listen to the first part of the video, the first person to present was Joshua Maponga. Me and Joshua Maponga, we kind of have a similar story, because he was also in the Seventh-day Adventist. I was also in the Seventh-day Adventist. Growing up as a young person, very, very involved in the church, and I was very, very committed, and I even wanted to be a pastor. And that's where actually things went wrong with me and the Seventh-day Adventist. I'm not gonna go into details about that. I think it's pretty much the similar gen that he was. He was even a pastor himself, and then obviously left. Pretty much the same as I did, and sometimes he has views that interest me. Sometimes he has views that I don't agree with. Uh, but he was the first person to present, and the next presenter, very, very knowledgeable guy. But from the beginning of his presentation, he came out straight to the throat of Joshua Maponga, which I found not so good. We should disagree to agree. You should offer your criticism in a respectful way. I mean, he literally came out and attacked the whole like the body of work that is Joshua Maponga. We know him as someone who is very, very big in the history of Africa, and or in our history, and of course he could have gotten some things wrong, but I find Dr. Sigabade very, very aggressive and dismissive of Joshua Maponga, because he was getting some facts wrong. But I don't think it's a good way to have a conversation, I would say. But nonetheless, this was a beautiful conversation, especially from the other gentleman, Dr. Ndlovu. It was also very, very informative. And this is my input and my side of the story. As I was growing up as a Shona person, I didn't know much about the Ndebele people. All I knew is what I was told, right? It's we were all told. I mean, that the major bone of contention in the conversation was about the Matebeleland coming to Zimbabwe, and oppressing the people of the land, conquering the people of the land. I was pretty much told the same story. That yes, the Matebeleland people came to Mashonaland. They were attacking the Mashonaland people, and I know that those were stories that we were told. And the clarity that came from these panelists, that yes, it could have been not Mzilikazi but a different team. But you should also understand, and you should also be lenient to the people of Mashonaland for not understanding those facts, that these were separate groups, but not Mzilikazi himself. But it was Zwangendaba, like they are mentioning now. And I'm sure this name is not new to people from Mashonaland. I remember it was put in Shona Zengendaba. If you look at if you hear this word in Mashonaland, it simply means you are someone who is dumb or something, someone who is not right. You're misbehaving or something like that. You are called Zangendaba, but it's obviously the failing of pronunciation of the word Zwangendaba. Which means there is part of history like that does really exist. What I find a complete lie is that Gukura Wunde was because of what happened when Mzilikazi and all Matebeleland people came to Zimbabwe. So Gukura Wunde was a revenge of that. That's utter bullshit. That cannot be. That's not honesty. In as much as I might not know history, but here's literally my opinion. That cannot be. That cannot be. The Gukura Wunde would have been something to do with the current politics, the current situation. That the leaders of the time realized that now we have a cake in front of us. And for us to be to hold on to the cake, to eat the majority, a bigger portion of the cake, we must weaken and destroy and kill the people from Matebeleland. That's all that happened. I mean, it's ingenuous for anybody to try and say otherwise, to try and bring up all that whole past and say that was the reason. Of course not. It's not the reason. They know the truth. They're just hiding behind the figure. Whoever is parading that kind of information is literally manufacturing stories. And here's my personal story. Like I said, I grew up in Mashonaland. What I knew is what I was told by my parents, by our grandparents about the Matebeleland people. But there was not a lot of animosity towards Ndebele people as I was growing up. But listening to radio presenters speaking Ndebele, I was always kind of interested. Probably maybe just because that's who I am. I love languages. No matter what language you speak, I want to hear what you say. So I always pay extra attention to other people's languages, and also I always want to learn. But I always had the curiosity to want to learn Ndebele. As I grew up, grew older and older, I was lucky enough to coexist with someone who had parents from both sides, Matebeleland and Mashonaland, and they spoke fluent Ndebele, and I it even sparked more curiosity in me of wanting to learn the language. And as I grew older and older and start traveling across countries, South Africa, Botswana, what have you, and meeting people from Matebeleland. I started learning Ndebele. Nami ngiyazikhuluma isiNdebele baba. Sometimes ngakhuluma ungazibuza ukuthi lo muntu ubuyaphi. It's like I begin to learn, and I asked myself, why what are we doing? We are same people. Why can't we learn these languages? Why is it not common that people from Mashonaland are supposed to learn the Ndebele and people, so that we create this unity? Singabantu banye. Kwakumele isiNdebele sifundiswe esikoleni. I don't understand why this whole division, but I think it comes from the leadership. As long as the leadership has exclusionist attitude, maybe it's because the ghosts of what they did keeps on haunting them. Even if maybe they want to do it, but they can't do it, because you always feel like what you did, because you know what you did. When you have raped someone, or you have wronged someone so badly, in as much as you want to reconciliate and go back to them and act normal, but I think that ghost of what you did will keep on hunting you, and you won't be able to do it. But it always amazed me why this animosity exists between Matebeleland and people in Mashonaland to this day. And I want people to understand one thing, and whether you are in Ndebele, whether you are Shona. Like I said, when I was growing up, I didn't know much. I only began to know and begin to understand the fact that there is actually a serious enmity and animosity between Ndebele people and Mashonaland people. Only when I grew up, when I started to interact with people from Matebeleland, and they could show their discontent with the Shona people, and that's why I want to come to this point that as a people, we need to understand one thing, right? As groups of people from a different society tends to behave a certain way. In sometimes there are certain things that might put you off. About a specific group of people, same as the other group of people might feel the same towards you. And literally, I could say there is certain things that I feel like, okay, this about the Ndebele turns me off. I can literally say the same towards the Mashonaland people, that this thing about the Shona people turns me off. But at the end of the day, we are all human. We have to learn to embrace each other with all our weaknesses. To this day, the people very, very close to me that I can call, and when I am in any sort of problem, if ngahlangana nenkinga, the first people that I call, bonge Ndebele, because there's certain aspects of them that me and them have become friends, because in some certain instances we think alike. There is a sense of, I can count on you, we can count on each other, namajita. So but in a sense, we have to find each other as a society, to live with each other, and yes, the narrative of the history is very, very important. We need to hear all these voices. Please, let's not silence each other and say, Joshua Maponga, you can't speak on this. We are one people. Let him bring whatever he has and whatever he have understood, whatever he has experienced. If someone has a different version of it, bring it all. Let's not fight each other. It feels like we're just fighting to prove the fact that maybe I know better than you, or you. No, no, no. That's not what we are looking for. We cannot keep on fighting hate on hate, hate on hate. That's not gonna help us go forward. Going forward, for us to be able to chant a new path forward, we need to come together and understand that we are one people. We are all black people. Whether you're Nguni, whether you're this, whether you're from Malawi, whether you're Chichewa, whether you're from Kenya, Rwanda, whatever the hell you speak. But yes, our history needs to be told. Our stories need to be told in the correct way. If anybody has knowledge, bring it on. Let's have conversations. Let's understand and build from that history going forward. I was amazed to hear some of the Ndebele history. It's fascinating to hear these things, and you also get to understand what actually happened. And then sparks you the curiosity of wanting to know more. You'll be like, okay, I wish I can have conversations with these people. I wish I could get my hands on books or anything to further my knowledge in these things, so that our stories are not misrepresented in the future, or when the future generation that comes also get to know. But the most important thing, we need to come together. We need to come together. We cannot keep fighting. Understand that this division was caused by leadership. If you look at Rwanda, what happened in Rwanda, the genocide and everything, it took the leadership. You might have different versions of the Rwanda story on how you feel about it, but this is how I feel about it. That it took the leadership to actually understand what happened and accept it, and then say, how do we deal with this going forward? But the problem is, our leadership do not want to do that. They don't want to take the responsibility and accept what happened, and the wrongdoing that has been done, so that we can be able to move forward in truth and honesty. Because that's the other thing with reconciliation. You cannot want to reconciliate with me when you are not accepting the facts of what actually happened. Because if you slap me and then you tell me, okay, bro, let's come and let's sit down and have a conversation. Let's forget about the past. No, no, you slapped me. I feel like you're actually trying to suppress me, so that I don't get my revenge from you. So that's not how it works. We should unite in truth, in accepting, and accepting the facts of what happened, and then we can move forward. Yeah, as Africans come together, please, if you have time, please go watch that video, please. It's a very informative. Go, you'll find it in the description of this video. And also, please subscribe to Mother Africa, please, so that we can grow this community. Have a conversation. Put your opinions in the comment section. Let's have a conversation. That's what we are all about. Let's have a conversation that will build Africa, that will transform ourselves, that will transform us as black people, so that we don't stay behind the whole time. It's so disgusting to look at Africa and imagine that we are actually human beings like anybody else. But what is wrong with us? Why can't we also propel forwards? Why can't we also go ahead? Why can't we also prosper as any other kind of people in the world? Asians, white Europeans, whatever they seem to be having it better than us. It's so disgusting.